The Game of Power. Lesson 3, Part 2. Use smokescreens to disguise your actions. The most devastating strikes are those you never see coming, not because you were blind, but because your eyes were focused elsewhere. This is the principle behind one of the most effective tools in the arsenal of power, the smokescreen. To master power, you must understand this. People will look, they will listen, they will try to read your every move, but they are easily fooled. Their attention is narrow, their focus is limited. They can be manipulated like children, so long as you give them something that feels familiar, something they think they understand. You don't conceal your intentions by hiding. You conceal them by appearing ordinary. The bland, the harmless, the predictable. These are the most effective disguises. It is the expected that distracts. It is the obvious that blinds. While they look at your left hand, your right hand is already executing the move that will finish the game. Consider the con artist Joseph Weil, better known as the Yellow Kid, a man who built his empire not with guns or violence but with stories and illusions. His greatest strength wasn't lying, it was distraction. In one of his most masterful cons, he approached a wealthy businessman named Giesel, a man who had once been a fierce dealmaker but now drifted in retirement, hungry for the thrill of profit. Weil baited the hook not with a real con, but with something seemingly legitimate, a real estate transaction. He spoke of a lodge, underpriced and ripe for resale. He hinted at scandal, whispered about insider dealings. It all seemed risky, exciting, and too good to pass up. That was the smokescreen. While Giesel focused on the property deal, Weil introduced another layer, a side bet on a boxing match. But Giesel, his thoughts still spinning with the idea of flipping the lodge for profit, didn't pay close attention. He didn't notice the out-of-shape boxer, the red flags, the inconsistencies. His mind was occupied with the deal. That was the brilliance of it. Weil didn't hide his plan. He simply buried it beneath something more interesting. When the match went south and the boxer collapsed, blood spilling from his mouth, Giesel panicked. Not only was he out $35,000, but now he believed he was tied to a murder. He fled, abandoning the money. Only later would he realise that the boxer had faked the collapse. The blood came from a pouch of chicken guts, and the real con had nothing to do with real estate. It was about misdirection, pure and simple. That's how smokescreens work. You build a believable front, fill it with enough convincing detail to make your opponent feel secure, and behind that front, you carry out the real strategy. It is the oldest principle in warfare. Draw attention to the wrong front and strike where they are unprepared. And this tactic isn't limited to backroom deals and street cons. The great leaders of history used it with devastating precision. Take the case of Haile Selassie, the Emperor of Ethiopia, a man who rose to power not through brute force, but through the art of concealment. When challenged by a warlord named Balcha, a man known for his pride, power, and unpredictability, Selassie didn't meet strength with strength. He met it with humility, softness, deference. Balcha arrived in Addis Ababa with an army of 10,000 soldiers, sure he would intimidate this mild-mannered emperor. He refused to enter the capital itself, stationing his troops just outside the city, like a coiled snake. He warned Selassie that any sign of deception would lead to bloodshed. Selassie smiled. He invited Balcha to a banquet. Lavish, respectful. Balcha, suspicious, demanded to bring 600 armed bodyguards. Selassie welcomed them. During the event, Selassie played the role of the humble host. He allowed songs to be sung in Balcha's honour, bowed to his pride, and gave him every illusion of superiority. But while Balcha ate and drank, Selassie moved in silence. 3 miles away, Selassie's forces approached Balcha's encampment, not with guns but with gold. One by one, Balcha's soldiers were bribed, their weapons were bought, their loyalty dissolved. The camp was dismantled, no battle was fought, no blood was spilled. When Balcha returned, expecting to lead his army into glory, he found nothing. No tents, no flags, no force, just smoke from doused fires. And the crushing realization that his army no longer existed. He was surrounded, outmaneuvered, and forced to surrender. A man who thought himself untouchable was defeated without a single sword being drawn. That is the power of the smokescreen. Selassie's banquet was never about honour. It was the bait. While Balcha fixated on one threat, the real danger crept in behind him, unseen and unstoppable. Because what you see is never the problem. It's what you don't see. This is why the art of distraction is so critical in the pursuit of power. If you show your true intentions, people prepare. They resist. They plot against you. But if you give them something to look at, something to worry about, they drop their guard. They focus on shadows while you operate in daylight. Sometimes the best smokescreen is not action, but inaction. Pretend to hesitate. Appear to yield. Allow others to think they are in control. In their overconfidence, they make mistakes. They reveal their intentions. They walk into your trap believing it was their idea all along. Remember, suspicion is strongest when nothing is happening. But when something is happening, when there's a show, a conflict, a distraction, people relax. That's when you move. Use generosity as camouflage. Use friendship as cover. Let your charm disarm your opponents. But never forget what lies underneath: strategy, purpose, and the willingness to strike when the mask comes off. To become powerful, you must think in layers. Show one thing, do another. Speak one truth, but mean another. If they know your next move, you've already lost. But if they think they know, if they believe they've figured you out, then your trap is already set. Be like Selassie. Be like the Yellow Kid. Speak with honey on your tongue. Offer comfort with your hands. But always, always keep the blade behind your back. This is the second lesson of concealment. Smoke screens aren't meant to hide you. They're meant to paralyze your enemies, leaving them defenseless without ever knowing how it happened. End of Lesson 3, Part 2.